the work being done to bring help and hope to the U.S. southern border. Good evening and thanks for joining us for this Faith Nation special. In Washington, I'm Jenna Browder. Here in the United States, about 20% of sex trafficking victims pass through Texas. One small-town sheriff's office has a strong message to those behind the crime. Not in our backyard. Police are aggressively enforcing a state law that makes buying sex a felony. Tara Mergener rode along with Texas Sheriff's deputies to bring us this story. And a warning, some of what you are about to see is disturbing.
Texas is the first state in the country to make buying sex a felony. It's a crime that can be easy to miss unless you know what you're looking for, with the victim often punished too. But not here in McLennan County, where a sheriff's office detective is changing the game.
Sex trafficking often conjures up images of big city crime committed quietly under the cover of darkness. But it's happening in small towns too.
It's almost easier to order a human being than it is a piece of pizza at this point.
Often in plain sight.
We keep the heat turned up and the hammer down on them.
Put your hand up now, smoke your
McLennan County sits between Dallas and Austin.
Is this a case where don't mess with Texas applies?
Don't mess with Texas, yes, especially Central Texas.
With a sheriff's office in Waco making sex for sale risky business.
We'll see very often where they're saying don't go to Waco because you run the risk of getting caught. So we're just going to one of the local motels. We got a text message from a guy who found the sex ad we had posted.
Since launching a human trafficking task force in 2014, Detective Joe Scaramucci's two-man team has been using internet savvy and a finely tuned ground game to round up hundreds of suspects.
We target traffickers, we target buyers.
Routinely outpacing larger law enforcement agencies.
Slide on out here for me, guy. Put the phone down.
I haven't seen one yet that's presented a reason why we're like, oh, yeah, we're not going to arrest you. What's your rank in the military?
Sergeant. Hey, you even got love notes from your wife and your lunch kit.
Yeah. I can't do this. Please, I have to go home.
If we can take the buyers out, then we can also kind of decrease the amount of trafficking. Most of the time, law enforcement isn't doing that. 10-4, en route to the jail.
Regular stings include Scaramucci posing online as a sex worker to lure buyers looking for a tryst.
So I'm telling him for a half hour to engage in full sexual intercourse is $140.
Even if you don't show up, chances are we're able to work it backwards and get an arrest warrant and go pick you up.
Hey, what's up, man? It's a felony.
It's a felony? I have to tell you something.
What?
I just got arrested.
No, that is not what happened.
Several sex buyers have been picked up right here just in the last few days. All are taken straight to jail. As of September 1, it's a felony.
Yeah. Yep, go right over here.
You know that paying for sex
No,
is
it is
illegal.
very legal, yes.
Do you know it's a felony in Texas?
I did not know that.
What? When we get in there, I'll take them off.
Does it ever shock you how young some of these people are?
It's heartbreaking that 18-year-old, 19, and 20-year-old kids are showing up doing this kind of stuff. Law enforcement is currently unjustly targeting women.
Scaramucci is the only officer who testified in support of Texas's new law cracking down on predators and shifting blame away from victims.
So this website aggregates sex ads just from all over the internet.
Ads selling the same woman across state lines, tattoos consistent with prostitution, and photos other than selfies are telltale signs. The majority of victims are female, lured into prostitution.
And then there's a girl that I've been watching for a while.
This one features an X-rated video with a man Scaramucci believes is her pimp. Quick detective work reveals the two are at a nearby motel.
When are y'all hop in with me real fast?
Should we change your locations?
We catch up with them at a gas station. His young family is along for the ride. The woman who says she's addicted to meth confirms he's been selling her since they met. and keeping the money.
She was homeless. He found her at a local intersection walking down the street, picked her up, gave her a place to stay. What is mega personals?
But like other women snared in Scaramucci's bus, she'll get help, not jail time.
This is gonna go as well.
Most of the women that we rescue don't want to be prostitutes. They get pushed into it or lured into it by the traffickers. These people are slick.
On standby are members of Unbound Now, which recently opened the state's second safe house for girls.
Help get them medical, food, shelter, just walk with them and then do case management.
When the unit shut down massage parlors in the county a few years ago,
another Waco massage parlor has been raided.
Not one sex worker faced charges.
They feed you drugs. You give them their money, they make sure you have your drugs, and nobody gets hurt.
Traffickers prey on people of all ages and backgrounds.
Befriending and then trying to figure out what.
Not only is McLennan's no-nonsense approach to the problem getting media recognition and prestigious awards, international law enforcement agencies are reaching out to learn from its success.
It's a cat and mouse game. You're trying to duck me, I'm trying to find you. And we got to get help for a victim of trafficking, right? So that's a huge success on our part.
Still, the work is daunting.
If you can get that one sexual deviant that is hitting up the 12-year-old girl, there's going to be 10, 20, 30 more behind them.
In Texas alone, tens of thousands of victims are minors, many peddled through the darkest corners of the internet.
Yeah, my name's Joe Scaramucci. I'm a detective with the Sheriff's Office in Waco, Texas.
This time, the trail leads to a retail employee in another state.
Well, the problem is I have your IP address. That's why I'm contacting you.
Especially troubling to law enforcement is the rising number of parents willing to sell their own children to predators.
It says 65 notifications.
When Scaramucci enters a chat room claiming to be a father of two, willing to make a deal, the phone lights up.
And these are from people wanting to have sex with kids?
These are for people wanting to engage in sex with kids or trade child pornography. We're able to identify those children in many cases and get them help that they would have never had help with anyway.
Recovery from being trafficked is difficult. Their life has really been robbed from them through a lot of complex trauma. Survival
rates for any age are low, with an average life expectancy just 7 years. While keeping as many as possible from becoming a statistic, Scaramucci hopes this message will spread, not in my backyard.
Community members, get loud, right? Tell your police department or your sheriff's office, we know what's going on here. What are you doing to combat it?
An online sting operation.
A prostitution sting in Waco has landed 17 people in jail.
Clinton County Sheriff's Office arrested 15 men.
And they plan to keep those efforts going to eradicate human trafficking in the community.
Soliciting prostitution in Texas carries a maximum $10,000 fine and up to 2 years behind bars. A number of states are also weighing strengthening their laws now as well. In McLennan County, Texas, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Thank you, Tara. A safe haven amid a humanitarian crisis. Next on Faith Nation, how a church in Mexico is reaching refugees trying to make it to America. Welcome back. A God-given dream led Gustavo Banda to start a small church in Tijuana, Mexico. And as George Thomas reports, that church has become a refuge for tens of thousands of migrants seeking freedom in America.
6 miles from Tijuana and a short distance from the U.S.-Mexico border lies one of this city's poorest neighborhoods.
This area is on the outskirts of the city. Not everyone knows about it. Not everyone wants to come here either.
It's easy to see why. There are no paved roads. The hillside is strewn with garbage. There's no sewage system here, and crime is rampant.
When we moved here, there were only cows, horses, chickens, and people with a lot of needs.
In 2011, Gustavo Banda and his wife, Zaida Gulen, moved to Canon de Alacran, or Scorpion's Canyon, after hearing from the Lord in a dream.
It was a clear mandate from God to move here, even though there was absolutely nothing in this place.
Teachers by trade, the Mexican couple were touched by the overwhelming needs of the community. Most folks here were poor subsistence farmers.
God gave me a dream that I had to build a church. We worked for 8 months, day and night. We knew God was going to do something special, but nobody had a clue about what really was going to happen.
That year, Templo Embajadores de Jesus, or Ambassadors of Jesus, was born in the heart of Scorpions Canyon. Banda held services on Sunday, then hit the rugged roads the rest of the week, going house to house, ministering to physical and spiritual needs.
We shared the love of Jesus with them. It was a mandate from God that we had to go to the poor.
In 2016, that focus drastically changed when thousands of Haitians, escaping poverty and back-to-back natural disasters, began to carve a dangerous 7,000-mile path to the U.S.-Mexico border. Many landed on the church's doorsteps, less than 30 minutes from the San Isidro border.
Within months, 22,000 Haitians had arrived in the city of Tijuana.
The church became a place of refuge.
I did not know, nor did I ever imagine, that there would be so many people in the church.
Since then, Banda has opened his church doors to migrants from all parts of the world.
It started with migrants coming from Haiti, Africa, Pakistan, and the Middle East. Today, we mainly have people from El Salvador, Guatemala, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Colombia, and some from Mexico. It's hard to tell, but we estimate about 35,000 people have come through the church, easily.
1,200 were staying in the church the day CBN News visited.
We feed them 3 times a day. We try to help them with all their needs. At nighttime, the entire church becomes one big giant dorm, where everyone sets up their beds on the floor, and sometimes there's no room to even walk on the floor.
Redding Castillo from Honduras has been here for 4 months. He says gangs killed his father and threatened to take his life as well.
Thank God that I'm not in danger anymore. They are not sending me the threatening messages like they used to.
24-year-old Jacqueline Ortiz from Guatemala is here with her 2 girls.
I'm so thankful to God because if these doors of the church weren't open, I don't know where I would be. I don't go hungry here. My daughters don't go hungry. We have a warm place, we have a roof, and all thanks to God and to the people that help us.
Most migrants stay here an average of 6 months before trying to legally cross the border. Church volunteers run a school for the children, oversee computer training, and provide other skills that will help migrants prepare for their new life in America. Area churches and NGOs also pitch in with food and other essential supplies.
The most important thing for the migrants to know when they get here is that there is hope, and although they have left their families behind, all of us that are here have become their family.
Come Sunday, everyone picks up their bed and dresses up for a lively church service.
I know that I only have a little bit of time with them, so my job is for them to know as much as they can about Jesus, baptize them, and send them to the United States believing in Jesus.
Pastor Gustavo started the church back in 2011 with no idea that he would be housing thousands of migrants from around the world. So today, 10 years later, a new structure is going up, which will be the future home for the migrants. He once had a desire to be a missionary to Haiti. Not anymore.
I even started learning a little bit of their language, but when I wanted to go to Haiti, Haiti came to me. And after Haiti came, all the other nations started coming to this place. I don't have the numbers, but for years we have been baptizing so many of them, and many more are surrendering to Jesus. And that's my calling now.
George Thomas, CBN News, in Scorpions Canyon, Tijuana, Mexico.
Tens of thousands of migrants flooding the southern border, and each one has a harrowing story. Meet the volunteers who are helping them survive after this. The U.S. is experiencing record high numbers of immigrants at the southern border, and it's not just government agencies responding. Faith-based shelters are also stepping in to meet demand. Heather Sells traveled to El Paso, Texas for a first-hand look at the role ministries play on the border.
These are the early morning sights and sounds from the kitchen at this Baptist migrant shelter. The beginning of a busy day as some 60 parents and children need breakfast, plus a ride to the airport or bus station.
We give them a hot meal, we give them clothes, hygiene.
Pastor Kelly Knott oversees the ministry.
They're coming from Haiti, Chile, Brazil, Turkey.
A true melting pot is overflowing at the El Paso border these days, with authorities apprehending tens of thousands of migrants each month. Local churches and ministries are stepping up.
El Paso churches and other faith-based groups host migrants at 14 sites, and they are hoping to open more in anticipation of greater numbers in the months ahead.
We are now seeing a ramp up of the number of families.
Ruben Garcia has been receiving migrants for over 4 decades at Annunciation House, one of the leading faith-based shelters on the border. He has watched numbers rise this year as countries like Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba refuse to take back those the U.S. expels. And the Biden administration allows more with safety and persecution fears to cross over.
We're seeing those nationalities that cannot be expelled increasing. And so, like today, where immigration is releasing 470 refugees to us.
Garcia is motivated by his faith, and specifically God's love for the poor.
The God of creation identifies first and foremost with the least among us. So, if we want to discover our own holiness, if we want to discover a depth of life, a sense of purpose, then we need to place ourselves among those that God identifies with first and foremost.
Garcia organizes hospitality sites for migrants just released from immigration processing. He has created the network of local shelters, calling on churches like Pastor Kelly's to provide cots, food, showers, and transportation. More than 80 Baptist churches support this location. Pastor Kelly says serving migrants paves the way for the sharing of the gospel.
At the end of the day, I think that's what it's all about. Really, no one really cares how much we know, but how much we care.
Martha Lay is one volunteer serving in this small army.
As a Christian, I think that we need to be helping our brothers and sisters.
Lay helps provide fresh clothes and listens to the travelers' stories of hunger, violence back home, and desperate journeys, like one dad who carried his disabled daughter over a desert mountain.
He said they had to climb up, and so it was very narrow, and they had to carry the little girl, and he said he almost fell.
Along the U.S.-Mexico border, these shelters showcase tremendous cooperation between Border Patrol and local ministries. El Paso-based migration advocate Dylan Corbett says it's one of the untold stories that could pave the way for more permanent solutions.
This is a community where a lot of people are Border Patrol agents. This is a community where a lot of people work for immigration enforcement. And we know that we have to find solutions. And so we work them out at the local level. That's what gives me hope. That's what gives me confidence that one day we'll get to some real reform in Washington, D.C.
For now, Garcia watches border trends and numbers climbing as he pursues a mission to open more shelters in other cities.
I'm hoping that church communities in both Denver and Dallas are listening.
The goal, prevent a backlog of migrants unable to find flights and bus rides out of El Paso. At Pastor Kelly's shelter, hope is in the air as these migrants board a church van bound for the airport.
This is just one of the stops on their journey from wherever they're coming from. But we want to make sure that when they stop here with us, especially on this border town in El Paso, Texas, in the United States. They see the love of God.
Reporting in El Paso, Heather Sells, CBN News.
The push to impeach the head of Homeland Security. That story next on Faith Nation. As we've been reporting during this special program, many see the situation unfolding at the southern border as chaos. And now House Republicans want to impeach Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Recently, articles of impeachment came as House Republicans hold a series of hearings examining the problems at the U.S.-Mexico border. Many believe Mayorkas is largely responsible.
That high crime and misdemeanor has typically been defined as a public official who has lost or violated the public trust. And in this case, Secretary Mayorkas has done it. And then some in that debate said, we want them to be able to be removed if we can't wait till the next election to remove somebody because of their conduct is so egregious as to cause potentially permanent harm to the country. That's what's happening here.
And it's unclear if enough Republicans are for the impeachment process. But Congressman Biggs tells CBN News he believes House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is on board. We will, of course, keep you updated as the story unfolds. And that's going to do it for Faith Nation this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.